Then go to Assembly Member Pidgeon, Rotherhithe to Canary Wharf cycling.
Thank you for your question.
Bridge.
The Rotherhithe to Canary Wharf crossing will provide a much-needed new walking and cycling connection between the two key opportunity areas of the Isle of Dogs and Canada Water. The new crossing is in my draft transport strategy and the TfL business plan. TfL has established a project team to take forward the crossing, and over the past year has progressed at pace on developing options, surveys, demand modelling, procurement, business case development, funding, planning consents, land requirements and engagement with stakeholders. TfL has appointed Arcadis, a renowned engineering and design consultancy with international experience in delivering pedestrian and cycle crossings, to develop designs and ensure that the scheme is cost effective. For example, how high should it be, or what type of bridge should it be? During June and July 2017, TfL held a series of workshops with the local communities and user groups in Southwark and Tower Hamlets to listen to their views on what the crossing should look like and where it should land on each side of the river. TfL anticipates that a public procurement process for a design and build partner will start in the autumn. This procurement will make sure the recommendations and lessons from previous procurements and Dame Margaret Hodges' report into the Garden Bridge are followed. I'm hoping that the consultation on the preferred option takes place in early 2018 before detailed plans are drawn up to allow an application for the necessary consents to be made in due course.
Lovely, thank you very much. And as you know, I've been a strong supporter of this cycling and pedestrian bridge in a part of the Thames that's really difficult to cross by bike or foot. So I just want to get a bit more clarity today from you about the schedule and the funding for this vital project. When will the funding strategy for the scheme be published?
So in TfL's business plan, there's already funding to support the new crosswork. We're also keen, though, to consider options from third-party contributions.
Yeah, I accept, you know, there are going to be some issues to be resolved, but can you clarify you would expect landowners such as Canary Wharf Group on one side and British Land on the other to contribute towards this new crossing?
Well, let's not get into who's going to contribute what, but we want third parties to contribute towards this year.
So landowners generally, you would hope would contribute towards this sort of infrastructure?
I'd hope so.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. And when do you think the bridge will finally be built and open to the public?
Well, one of the things that I'm hoping those who will bid for the contract, to design and build the bridge will have noted is my comments. I want it done as soon as possible. You'll be aware from previous conversations we had about 2020, 2021 being what we're going to do, and that's the sort of timescales we're talking about. But obviously, if somebody who bids for this plan, design and build procurement process is able to do it sooner, then obviously it could well be that their application will be considered more favourably than somebody will take longer.
So you're still looking at 2020, 2021. Well, that's great news, because I know people in this area desperately want this crossing to be built. In terms of, you said that you've got, in the autumn, you're going to be starting the procurement. Have you looked at all options? Because there's one thing, you can have the open design type competition, as we know from the infamous Garden Bridge, but a possible quicker way could be TfL buying and adapting an existing design, and that potentially could be cheaper and quicker to deliver. So have you looked at all the options before you go ahead with procurement in the autumn? I
think TfL have. One of the things that TfL have recognised is that things move very quickly. So there is, for example, there is a design out there,
yes,
which is a number of years old now. And so one of the reasons why they're keen to have the procurement process is because there may be innovations around the world that could lead to something being cheaper, quicker and of higher quality.
Okay, and obviously quite right, we have to make sure we don't make the mistakes that the previous mayor made on designing and giving contracts for bridges and so on. But my final question relates to how we can make the most of this bridge. And I'm really pleased to see that the cycle hire scheme is going to be extended to Brixton this year. However, it really makes sense the cycle hire scheme is also extended out to Rotherhithe, and all the benefits really of the bridge would be magnified if the cycle hire scheme was in that area. So are you looking at this actively, and will you ensure that TfL pushes Southwark Council to do the thing that many other boroughs have done, putting money in and supporting cycle hire extension?
So TfL are, as you know, continuing to explore suitable funding options, which include the Rotherhithe Peninsula Urban Development work taking place and the Rotherhithe Canary Wharf Bridge programme, and speaking to councils on both sides of the river too. And we're keen to make progress around further extensions of the cycle hire scheme. As you said, Brixton is a great result, and we're trying to make sure we can have more cycle hire schemes across London.
Yeah, I mean, I accept you can't roll out cycle hire to the whole of London, but this is a really obvious gap that would almost finish the sort of circle of inner London. And if you're going to have this fantastic crossing, it would make sense for cycle hire. So is that something you're committed to try to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, TfL are currently exploring, as we speak, funded options to extend the Santander cycle scheme. And I've mentioned to the people that two of the potential funding streams were keen to extend it to suitable places, particularly where there's funding available.
And does that include Rotherhithe and picking up this Rotherhithe-Bermondsey sort of anomaly where there's no cycle hire?
That includes that part of London as well, yeah.
I welcome that, and I really hope you can push Southwark Council as well to look at where they can put funding in, as many other boroughs in London have, to secure the cycle hire scheme. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.